This is facts that seem fake, but are 100% real. Part 6. At the time of your birth, you were briefly the youngest person in the entire world. Turtles have the ability to breathe through their butthole if they have to. There are more molecules in a single glass of water than there are glasses of water in every ocean on the planet. At the time the current oldest person in the world was born, there is a new set of human beings all across the planet. This is the story of the most beautiful suicide. Since the completion of the Empire State Building in 1931, there have been at least 36 people that have leaped off of the top floors to commit suicide, with Evelyn McHale's jump being perhaps the most infamous. On the morning of May 1st, 1947, just before 11 a.m., a traffic director who was working at the intersection of 34th Street and 5th Avenue happened to look up and noticed a white scarf drifting down the side of the Empire State Building. He suddenly heard a large crash and then chaos erupted within the streets. He then followed a crowd of civilians to a limousine parked by the curb, upon which Evelyn McHale's body was found, having completed the most beautiful suicide. Her death is not what gained so much attraction, it was the way she laid in such an eerie situation. She laid elegantly, her face calm, her ankles wrapped effortlessly, and her chain clutched with one white gloved hand. And here's the picture of the most beautiful suicide.
She must have been out of her head. Here it is. Thank you. I'll say goodbye to you. Though it's the end of the world. Don't blame.
This is how much different items cost on the dark web, part 4.
Up first, to hack somebody's Netflix account,
It will only cost you $1.
but in reality, you should just find a friend and use their Netflix account. Next up, if you want to escape your life and become a new person,
You can get a new identity on the dark web for $1,300.
this is pretty cheap compared to Breaking Bad prices. Finally is bear bile. This is used in most traditional Chinese medicines,
And it's a liquid stored in a bear's liver.
and it's supposed to cure a lot of things. But it cost a very high price of $210,000.
Nightmarish facts about your body that you probably shouldn't think about. Part 1. Due to the brain's lack of pain receptors, brain surgery is often performed while the patient is awake and talking. And in some cases of brain surgery, the surgeon will pull your face forward like a banana. Men's nipples can be stimulated enough to produce milk. Once you turn 30 years old, you can expect to lose half an inch every 10 years. When you developed in the womb, your anus was formed before anything else. So at one point, you were nothing but an asshole. Your penis has rifling. That's why the stream twists. If you decapitate someone, their head will remain conscious for 15 to 20 seconds, which is long enough for them to realize what you did to them. Shocking war facts that school definitely didn't teach you, Part 2. Before his presidency, George Bush Sr. served as a pilot during World War II. During the war, his plane was shot down in a bombing raid against Japan, and everyone in his 9-man crew was captured, but luckily, he managed to escape. His fellow crew members were tortured, killed, and 4 of them were even eaten by Japanese soldiers. The youngest person to ever fight in the US military, Calvin Graham, was just 12 years old at the time of enlisting. He saw combat and was even awarded a Purple Heart Medal. but after being wounded, his true age was revealed and he was immediately discharged. In 1977, around 500 cars were mysteriously abandoned in a forest near Ardennes, Belgium. The source of these cars is heavily debated, but many believe that American and Canadian soldiers left them behind when they returned home from war. In 1776, a secret committee uncovered evidence that revealed that George Washington's bodyguard was planning to kill him. They then proceeded to execute him, and this secret committee would later become the CIA. In 1983, Soviet commanding officer Stanislav Petrov received a warning signal that indicated that there was an oncoming nuclear missile. However, Petrov felt that something was wrong with the signal and chose to disobey Soviet protocol, which required him to fire a missile immediately when a warning signal went off. It was later revealed to be a false alarm, but had he followed protocol and fired, a nuclear war would have broken out.
For terrifying true facts that will keep you up at night. There are over 250,000 deaths a year due to medical error. Fir trees can grow in human lungs. If the sun exploded right now, you wouldn't know about it for another 8 minutes. There's a 1 in 3 chance police will never identify your killer if you're murdered in the US.
What did you do, little punk? Undismissed the walls of bleeding town.
Do you know that people can be born with 2 faces? But before I tell you about that, don't forget to like and share this video. Diprosopis, also known as craniofacial duplication, is a rare congenital disorder which can cause parts or all of the face to be duplicated. This disease is caused by abnormal activity in the protein SHH, which is also known as the Sonic the Hedgehog protein. The name of this protein makes it really awkward for doctors to explain the disease to parents. As you can imagine, it's probably not a very pleasant experience being told by the doctor that your child is suffering from a disease caused by Sonic the Hedgehog. Also, if you're like me and you're looking into trying to make better habits for yourself, there's an app for that. It's called Fabulous, and it can help you achieve that. Download Fabulous at the link in my bio. Nah, because what we're not gonna do is forget that a woman was intimate with a dolphin in the 1960s in the name of science. But before I tell you about that, be sure to like and hit share copy link so I know you guys like this video. Margaret Howe Lovat was part of a NASA-funded experiment to try to teach intelligent animals how to speak. Part of the experiment was flooding a house to allow a researcher, Margaret in this case, to live in close confinement with a dolphin, to study dolphins in close quarters. One of the dolphins involved in the project happened to be a sexually maturing young male dolphin. Often, while Margaret was conducting her studies, the dolphin would become sexually flustered, and Margaret would end up manually relieving him so that she could continue with her studies. This experiment has been highly criticized and regarded as a cruel experiment. Dolphins have been found to be highly intelligent creatures who can form emotional bonds. So, when the experiment was over and Margaret and the dolphin were separated, the dolphin became highly depressed and ended up passing away. Did you know that you can visit a garden that's filled exclusively with plants that can kill you? The Alnwick Garden is a collection of gardens adjacent to the Alnwick Castle. One of these gardens, named the Poison Garden, is filled with around 100 toxic, intoxicating, and narcotic plants. Guests can only visit this garden on a guided tour, and they are strictly prohibited from tasting, smelling, or touching any of the plants. That, of course, doesn't stop a few people from fainting from inhaling toxic fumes while visiting the garden. If you have any interest in being able to identify plants on nature walks, or just learning how to take care of plants in general, download Blossom at the link in my bio.
How strange is your body? Tetrachromacy is a condition that allows you to see more colors, 100 million shades compared to the average person who sees a million. It's believed to be exclusive to women, affecting about 12%. Comparatively, men are more likely to have trouble seeing colors at all, some as few as 10,000 shades. 8% of men are colorblind compared to only 0.5% of women. Most people need between 7 and 8 hours of sleep at night, but 1% of the population needs less than 6 hours. They're called short sleepers. Only 8% of adults have never had a cavity, but it's estimated that 1 in 4 people have untreated cavities. When people clasp their hands together, 55% put their left thumb on top, 44% put their right thumb on top, and 1% has no preference at all. She's called the Angel of Death. Beverly Allett was denied jobs from multiple British hospitals because she, failed her nursing exams until she was offered a 6-month contract as a pediatric nurse from the understaffed Grantham and Kesteven Hospital. She was only there 2 months before she started attacking patients, targeting 13 children over a 59-day period. She would inject them with air bubbles or insulin to cause cardiac arrest. In total, she killed 4 children and seriously injured 6 others. The hospital called the police after noting the oddly large number of cardiac arrests on the children's ward. They noticed that Beverly was the only one working all those shifts. She was arrested in 1991, received 13 life sentences, and will be eligible for parole in 2022. This woman killed over 100 men with love potions. In the early 1900s in Yugoslavia, Baba Yanushka made mixtures and medicines. Some she would sell to soldiers to make them ill enough to avoid military service, but others that she called magic water or love potions she sold to women with abusive husbands. Inside was arsenic and plant toxins. She would ask her clients, how heavy is that problem, which meant how heavy is the victim, so she could calculate the correct dose. The women would give the concoctions to their husband, and a few days later, they would die. It's estimated she helped kill 150 men. She was apprehended at 90, but only spent 8 years in jail before being let out for old age.
This video was uploaded on the 3rd of October 2016 and shows a man wandering through some woods in Suffolk County, New York. While walking through a trail, he finds dozens of missing person posters that had been taped onto different trees. There was also a used fire pit and numerous objects left behind, so it was obvious that people had been there recently. After hearing some voices, the man decides to leave the area, and after this, he gave the location of these woods to the police, who interviewed some nearby homeowners. The homeowners stated that it was simply a Halloween decoration. The police took their word for it and dismissed the case, but a lot of questions were left unanswered. But the main question is, why would they do this in the first place? If you look up the names of any of these missing people, you'll find that they actually are real cases. Some of them were also quite recent and fresh, so it seems like a bizarre and disrespectful thing to use as a Halloween decoration. But alas, no answers have been given, and while some people are satisfied with that, other people wonder if there was something more sinister to these signs.
Scariest videos found on TikTok Part 1. Now, for the video you guys are about to watch, I don't know who the video is actually from. I just saw a whole bunch of reposts, so I figured I'd put it in the list. I still have no idea what's happening in this clip, but if you guys like this video and want to see more just like it, be sure to like and follow me.
In the year 2000, a show known as The Scariest Places on Earth released an episode of their program that focused around the Catacombs of Paris, which is an underground tunnel system beneath France's capital city that holds the remains of over 6 million people. The episode in question was especially interesting because it showed a piece of footage that was allegedly found in the catacombs.
Occasionally also, he stops to photograph roomfuls of bones, which means that he's very, very deep inside the catacombs. So basically, he's filming what he's seeing very deep inside the catacombs. We hear his breathing get louder and louder, as though something was scaring him. He's frightened, he's frightened. Occasionally he stops, perhaps to try to decide which way to run among all the many different corridors. And all of a sudden,